Okay.
I don't know the kid.
Let's call the Newman City Council Redevelopment Agency regular meeting of October 27th to order, please. Please stand for the pledge. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Thank you.
God, give us the wisdom and the knowledge to make some intelligent decisions for the folks of Newman tonight. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ted. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Kelly.
Present.
Davis.
Present.
Candia.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor Cape.
Present. Declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, move on to item 6, ceremonial matters. I don't think we have any. Move on to item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Any member of the public wish to address the council? Mr. Reed?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Dave Reed, 1541 Kern Street. I'm here in a couple of different hats tonight. The first one is the Newman Chamber of Commerce is having their annual Halloween mixer Thursday at G-Bar N Veterinary Clinic at 6 o'clock. And it's $3 for non-members, $0 for members. And the city is a member, so we have a lot of food, drink, and a lot of fun. Come in costume if you'd like, or not, whatever. And the second is on behalf of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, American Legion of Newman and Gustine. We have our annual Veterans Day program on Wednesday, November 11th at 11 o'clock at the Veterans Hall in Gustine. There will be a short ceremony and awards given out. Don Hutchins is our speaker this year again. And following that, we will have our beans and salad for everyone. Some of the best Portuguese beans made by a Swiss down there. So we look forward to having you all down there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 8. It's the consent calendar. A, waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title, approval of the warrants, approval of the minutes of the October 13, 2009 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as is.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9, public hearings. A, appeal of use permit number 09-05, conditional approval.
Thank you, Mayor. Back in September, the Planning Commission reviewed a use permit application to extend the model home permit for an additional period of time. At the recommendation of our staff, the council added a condition which was a $100 per lot fee that would be used towards the development of a dog park in that particular area. They went ahead and approved the use permit 0905, subject to the conditions that staff recommended. Subsequent to that approval and within the allotted time period, the developer filed an appeal, which we're hearing tonight, a copy of which was delivered to your door yesterday, I believe, and also maybe put the place here as well. But it's a letter from New Miller and Beardsley, their attorneys. Based upon that letter and some conversations that I had with our legal counsel, staff is recommending that we uphold, go ahead and grant their appeal and remove condition number 4, subject to some of the findings that we found in their letter.
In reading the brief, I tended to agree when I first read it. I thought that it would be appropriate and on our part to pull that part of it. So how the rest of you felt about it, but
Yeah.
I think we ought to go along with the staff's recommendation. So with that, we'll open the public
Public
hearing.
hearing, yes, that's correct.
Open the public hearing. Anybody wish to address the council regarding this issue?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Happy birthday, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you for your consideration of this appeal tonight. I'd like to commend the city staff and legal counsel for the appropriate recommendation of our appeal. Secondly or thirdly, I'd like to deliver in Mr. Mothersell's absence generous donation to the park fund, dog park fund. I'll hand it to Stephanie on my way out.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, we will close the public hearing, bring back council for direction or comment.
I make a motion that we accept the appeal and remove condition number 4.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. B is General Plan Amendment Number 09-01, Housing Element for formal adoption.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Before you is the draft final housing element update. As required by state law, the city must update its housing element every 5 years. The housing element is a part of our general plan. Unlike the general plan, it's updated every 5 years, and general plan is usually a lot longer than that. As required by state law, the general plan and housing element have to be consistent with one another, and this one is. Back in the spring, the council approved the draft housing element for HCD submittal. We received their comments, and based upon review and their comments, we've made 12 revisions. These revisions are technical in nature and are consistent with required state laws. As a part of the public hearing process, staff has received one comment, which is before you. The comment is informational in nature, does not require any changes to the housing element document, and does not affect any specific properties listed in the document. In order to comply with state law, staff recommends formal approval of General Plan Amendment 0901 for the purposes of HCD submittal. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Stephanie? Seeing none, we will open the public hearing. Anybody wish to address the council? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for direction and or comment.
I so move for formal approval of General Plan Amendment 09-1.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Item 10, regular business. A is adopt resolution number 2009, next in number, supporting the San Joaquin Valley Clean Energy Partnership led by the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District and the San Joaquin Valley Clean Energy Organization, and authorize the San Joaquin Valley Clean Energy Partnership to apply for and administer the City of Newman's Energy Efficiency and Conversation Block Grant allocation.
I didn't make up that title, just to start
Man,
with. Good evening again. Before you is Resolution 2009, next in number, which, if approved, will allow the city to join the San Joaquin Valley Clean Energy Organization, also known as SJVCEO. The SJVCEO is a nonprofit organization that promotes clean energy. The state of California recently allocated $30 million to cities and counties for energy efficiency projects, also known as EECBG. The city of Newman is eligible to receive $58,212.55 under this grant program. The EECBG program has extensive administrative and reporting requirements. As a part of joining the SJVCEO, they will manage these requirements for the city and will front any startup costs because it's more of a reimbursement type grant. So they'll put the money forward to get things going, and then when the grant comes in, they get reimbursed, which is very helpful for cities. Their fee is currently set at 8% of the grant amount, which is very reasonable. And as more jurisdictions join the group, it becomes lower and lower. Just, it's a ratio essentially. Based on the extensive administrative and reporting requirements and the low cost of joining the SJVCEO, staff recommends adoption of Resolution 2009 next in number, authorizing the SJVCEO to apply and administer the city's EECBG grant allocation. Happy to answer any questions.
any questions of Stephanie or comments?
Lots of acronyms.
Thanks so much, Stephanie, for bringing this and for council for direction. Somebody?
I so move that we adopt resolution number 2009, next number, supporting the San Joaquin Valley Clean Air Partnership led by the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District and the San Joaquin Valley Clean Air Energy Organization, and authorize the San Joaquin Valley Clean Air Partnership to apply for the administer the City of Newman Energy Efficiency and Conservative Block Grant, EECBG allocation.
That's why nobody wanted
That
to
was
make the
awesome.
motion.
I think we could have found some abbreviations.
There's been a motion, there's a second.
That's the temp.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
I will go to item B, and Stephanie will be there for this as well. Authorize staff to submit a Cmac application for the purchase of a CNG aerial vehicle and adopt resolution number 2009 next to number. A resolution authorizing the appropriation of local transportation funds and authorize the city manager or his representative to sign all documents, assurances, and statements for the purchase of one CNG aerial truck.
Good evening, Mayor and council members.
Gardner,
I'm
you
here.
switched. Sorry.
I'm fast. The item for you tonight is a report on the Cmac Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program. Currently, there's an call for projects for Cmac-funded projects. This is funding that's made available to regions that are in designated basins for non-attainment by EPA. These funds are used to implement transportation-type projects that help regions achieve their federal air ambient quality standards by reducing emissions generated by vehicles. The Public Works Department has a 1995 aerial truck that is in pretty poor condition. The first time I heard it start up, it kind of surprised me. It sounds like the throwout bearings going out on it. They're experiencing repeated maintenance issues with it. They estimate currently it would take about $7,000 to bring it up to standard that we would consider, a safer work environment for the men. It's about a 30-foot single bucket lift truck. We propose to use the Cmac funding that is considered target funds. Newman gets about $100,000 a year for these for year 10, 11, and 11, 12. To take the 10, 11 funding of approximately $100,000 and apply that towards a 2009 lift truck. And what we're looking at is a 42-foot dual bucket lift truck that is still able to park in the parking stalls in downtown, which would enable us to help with tree pruning in the downtown area, decorations during the festive holidays, mistletoe removal, and some minor streetlight repairs, replacing the bulbs in there and things of that nature. The Coffer Project has been issued through StanCog, our local MPO. The deadline for this is November 20th. One thing I need to let you know is that we only have a target fund of $100,000, so we're short approximately $43,418. StanCog does have a slush fund that is on a first come, first served basis. And I've talked to StanCog, and if we hurry and submit our application with your authorization, we are eligible to get that money to help supplement the money that we're short with. There is a local match that is required. We're proposing to use the LTF match of $18,582. So for a $162,000 truck, we would expend approximately $18,582. So it's a pretty good opportunity for us to get a nicer truck for our fleet. It is a CNG vehicle that would help with the air ambient quality standards that the basin is having. Therefore, staff's recommendation is for City Council to authorize staff to submit the application to StanCog for CMAQ targeted funds with the additional funding request for the purchase of a CNG aerial vehicle and adopt Resolution 2009 authorizing the appropriation of the LTF funds and authorize the city manager or myself to sign all documents, assurances, and statements for the purchase of one CNG aerial truck. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to
Is it a new vehicle?
This will be a brand new one.
Cool.
Wow, for
I think
18 grand.
we better jump on it.
It's a
Nice.
great opportunity. We've recently just purchased a CNG flatbed truck for the vehicles as well. So everything's converting over. We're quite high on our CNG vehicles, which is helping in our area.
That's great.
Excellent.
Council direction?
Make a motion that we authorize the staff to submit a CMAQ application for the purchase of a CNG aerial vehicle. Adopt resolution number 2009, authorizing the appropriation of local transportation funds and authorizing the city manager or his representatives to sign all documents, assurances, and statements for the purchase of one CNG aerial truck.
Been a motion, is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Item number 11, items from District 5 Supervisor. He's not here.
Quick, keep
Wow.
moving.
Item 12, items from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Last week, the mayor and I, as well as our Public Works Director, Garner Reynolds, went up to Sacramento. We met with the Army Corps of Engineer regarding the Orristimba Creek project. That project is moving along. We're getting a lot of support. I think it was very good. We were also joined by Supervisor DeMartini and the Public Works Director, Matt Machado, up there. It was good that we went up there. I think it's good to show a face to the project and let them know that there's real people behind the text in the reports. I mean, there's stacks and stacks of reports that have been generated from this project over 12 years. So, we're trying to make more of a showing up there so they remember that ultimately there are people at the end of this particular project. So it is moving forward. I think we're expecting to have a draft report out by January of 2010. We're trying to get things moving. There's what's called a WARDA, I think it was what it was called, in around this time in 2010, where there could be some allocations and potentially have that project allocated. Part of the project. Part of the problem, though, is the federal project level that they're looking at. Forget all the acronyms, please excuse me. But the federal preferred project is about $20 million, and they're willing to fund 65% of $20 million. Now, there's still discussion going on, but one of the local preferred projects that we're leaning towards right now is a $30 million project. So 65% of 20 million is only 13, so that leaves a $17 million gap that we need to try to figure out what to do with that if we go with that local preferred. Also, the state should be able to get involved in this. They're really pushing for storm drainage, stream restoration type projects, flood control projects, and this would meet their requirement. A lot of what you're hearing about is what is called a 0.5% percentage or 200-year flood protection. This would provide our community that. So there's a good chance we'll probably get some state funding, but that still will require a local match. So it's kind of where we're at. And
Yeah.
Mayor, you had anything else?
Yeah, and I agree with Mike. I think I think Garner agrees too. I think all of us came out of that meeting thinking like, man, we felt like we made some headway because it was good putting faces with names, and we see the reports, and we got to meet I can't remember the gentleman.
Chief Planner, Frank, something.
He's
or
like
other.
top gun, just under the colonel on this whole project. So it was good, and seeing our representatives, Sarah and David, who've been very, very good in working with us. So we talked about on the way back that we're going to try maybe, whether it be quarterly or whatever, try to go back and meet with them on a more regular basis, just so we can again put faces with names. So I thought it was very beneficial, and it's moving forward. And when you think in terms of 12 years it's been, it could be another 5 years potentially before any ground is even broke. But we're making progress. And interestingly enough, and when you mentioned the 200-year protection, I just saw on the news, I think it was yesterday, I think somewhere around Marysville, they have a project with 200-year protection to the tune of like $193 million. Something like some huge project. So that seems to be, the 200-year protection seems to be the number. So,
Yep.
But we are moving forward, so it was good.
With that in mind, if there are any council members, there's a conference call that occurs the second and fourth Thursdays of the month at 10 a.m. If you're ever interested, we can get you the call-in number if you want to participate and just kind of hear hear the discussions that are going on. There's economists in there. There's real estate people in there. I mean, there's a ton of people in there.
There's like 15 of us, I think, were in that
Yeah.
conference room that day. A lot of people from the state and everything, but it's good. So we're making progress, and there's a lot of people who got their fingers in on the project.
So if there's no questions on that item. Last week I also went to the Economic Development Bank, the County Economic Development Bank, for which this council authorized me to submit a loan application for $400,000. If you received my email about a week and a half ago that showed that we came out in the rankings #1, and it wasn't close. Out of 100 potential points, we scored 94. The next closest was 79. So, you're going from a solid A to a C+. And then after that, it was 73, I think. Well, unfortunately for what tends to happen a lot when you start moving up the ladder, politics started to rear its head. So there was an original motion that the list be submitted to the Board of Supervisors who approves the loan applications, that they be submitted to the board as they originally scored. Well, unfortunately, that motion failed 7-9. Shortly thereafter, there was a motion by someone who sat next to the Riverbank city manager, that Riverbank, who was number 3 on the list, be moved to number 1, everyone else be moved down a number, and submit that list to the Board of Supervisors. And unfortunately for us, that motion passed 9-7. So it was quite frustrating for myself to hear that, especially when there are ranking criteria and scoring criteria that are approved by the Alliance Board. And then when you ask the advisory board to look at those and score them, we came out 94 and they were at 73. Clearly, ours was head and shoulders above. With that being said, though, this process is not done. It still has to go to the Board of Supervisors for a final vote. What I can tell you is I firmly believe that our supervisor will support us. There was another supervisor there, Supervisor Grover, who voted with their original motion to be submitted as scored. So he voted in favor of our particular project. So that's 2 votes. So we're going to try to dig up one more, and we'll be meeting with a council member from the Turlock area, Vito Chiesa. Chiesa, yeah. We'll be meeting with him next week to make sure he fully understands our project, make sure he understands that this is part of our economic development strategy, that this isn't just a project, this is an implementation of an economic development strategy, and why it's important for us and the board to support our strategy. This is a long-term strategy that we adopted, or the council adopted in 2003, and we're trying to move it forward. So that's why we're going to go show him the merits of our particular project. It's not just a project. It's an economic development strategy that we continue to promote, and that is, high quality of life in the city of Newman and building a sense of community. Those are some of the traits that we're trying to tout as we move forward and try to attract businesses here. So anyways, I believe we're meeting with them
Next Monday.
next Monday at 11:30 or so.
Mike, quick question. When it's something like that, and I wish I'd been there, maybe not, what, are you allowed to ask the board, why do you have this system then? This criteria? I mean, why even have that if you're not going to follow it?
That will be part of our presentation when it gets to the Board of Supervisors. We'll go back and revamp our presentation to the Board of Supervisors and really tout that we need to go backwards here a bit and really talk about what the Alliance has done, what the Economic Development Bank is, why we developed scoring criteria for these particular things. Part of the reason is there's, I believe, about $2.8 million worth of applications and only $450,000 worth of money. So there's only one project that's going to get funded.
Gotcha.
So that's why we're going to back it up a little bit when we get to the Board of Supervisors and do a full presentation and talk about scoring criteria, why it's important, and moving it forward. And if they don't vote for us, then we're basically throwing out that criteria. Why even have it in the first place? So, but that'll be part of our next presentation.
But my other question, what's going to, let's say we don't get it. Where does that leave us then?
We're developing a backup plan, and we have enterprise funds with money. We could borrow the money from ourselves, from our enterprise funds, and pay our self-interest. The reason we're moving forward with this loan application, it's an interest-free loan application.
Gotcha.
And try to preserve our cash as well.
Yeah.
So
Good.
Yeah, and Supervisor DeMartini, I saw him at the open house for Stancog at their new office, and he was visibly upset and really ticked. And he told me, he said it's not over. So he's definitely in our corner, and he's going to be doing some lobbying of his own. And he didn't want to say it will be overturned, but he said it's not over. So
Okay.
hopefully we'll get the votes, and after we meet with the supervisor, Michael and I be able to talk to him, hopefully be able to bring him over to understand how important this project is to our community, and the merits of the project, Riverbank's compared to ours. Ours is clearly at the top of the list.
What were they doing? They were roads, was it, or
no,
something?
they were relocating an irrigation line.
An irrigation line. Here we've got something that's going to,
So
shame on the Not Riverbank, shame on that group.
Right. Yeah. And, we got a couple calls the next day, and people were apologetic. But, I just say, well, everyone's just doing what's best, trying to do what's best for their own community. And unfortunately, politics gets in the way like it does with lots of different things. I mean, the ditch diggers will tell you one gets to dig the ditch in the shade and the other in the sun. There's politics involved with that. So we'll get through it, and I'm still confident that we'll get the third vote that we need. And it's basically a 2-2 right now, and I think this fifth supervisor really holds the key. So, but we'll meet with him. With that, moving on, just a reminder: next Tuesday's election day. Get out and vote. And then lastly, the EECBG, I just call it by the acronym, is the resolution that you approved tonight. We're working diligently. PG&E came through today and did an energy audit on 6 of our buildings in town, government buildings. So there's potential to use that. Also, there's a program right now that takes streetlights and converts the current streetlights to LED lights, which use a lot less energy. What I can tell you is we will use every attempt to utilize those funds to save general fund dollars. So if we can save general fund dollars down the road, that's where our money's going to go to first. And if it's street lights, that's a big cost for the city that we have to pay. Some of them are in LLDs, others are not. Those are things that we're trying to do on there to try to save general fund dollars, because ultimately, if we can use this $58,000 to save us $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month in general fund monies, that adds up to $30,000. That's somebody's salary for a year. So I think that's the kind of the methodology that we'll be taking as we move forward. So, and that's all that I had tonight to report. Does I have any questions from the council?
Questions of Michael? See none? Okay, thank you. Staff? Chief, Garner, Stephanie?
Just had 2 little things. One of them is that the weather that we're experiencing right now. We just recovered from the previous events that we had, and now we have another rash of trees that were out there. And so just caution everybody that if you see anything that's in the public right of way, that you give us a call so we can get out there immediately to get that taken care of, so we can minimize any potential risk or liabilities. The wind advisory is up until about 11 o'clock tonight, and then the winds are going to taper down by tomorrow sometime. But we'll be out there all day tomorrow cleaning up the limbs that we cut down today. We did have an incident today where one tree fell into another tree on Q Street, and I'd just driven by like 15 minutes before that. So caution residents about parking under trees. So the other thing is a little bit of good news for the Plaza project is that StanCog is staying on top of Caltrans headquarters and constantly calling them and asking them about all of the projects. And I got pulled aside today by StanCog, and they said they're still fighting for us, and that it looks like it's just a matter of them filling out the paperwork now for our E76, which is a form that authorizes the funding for the project. So I'm going to hold my breath. I'm not going to say we have the money yet, but they're telling me a week or 2 that I should have my E76. Once we get that, then the next step is we will be going out to bid. There's a 30-day window for opening for the bids, and then we'll probably look at starting construction hopefully in January, so that way we can still have our tree in the old plaza. We call it the old plaza versus the new. Other than that, we're real busy out there trying to keep the streets clean. If you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them. Sure.
All of these piles of leaves and limbs, people have, limbs falling down their yard and piled in the street, will those be picked up starting November 1st?
Bertolotti will be, yes, those will be picked up. And then our own piles that we have usually over by my office over on Q Street, we now moved that over to L Street because we had a lot of landscapers dumping their debris in our piles. So we took care of that. But yes, that's starting up.
Gardner, how about that drainage along Jensen Road there? Over in the
On Jensen Road's in the county. Are you talking about Sherman Parkway?
Sherman, well, it could be Sherman.
The drainage ditch?
Yeah, the drainage ditch.
We
That's
cleaned it out.
Yeah, you ought to see it today.
Pretty bad again. Well, I noticed we lost a half a tree again too.
Yeah.
In there, I did my drive around at 3 o'clock, and then I did it again at 6 o'clock tonight, and they're gonna be taking care of that, and then we'll get some more AWP workers, and we'll be cleaning that out before the next rains. We have to stay on top of the leaves right now with all the wind and the leaves falling in. Any small rain event will cause potential for localized flooding.
When you get time, anything you can do about that graffiti that's down there too?
I didn't know about any graffiti. There's graffiti in there? Okay. We'll get that taken care of tomorrow.
Some of us on Mount Rushmore are cleaning drains because they're piling up and water is flooding the streets.
Did I say that again? I didn't
On
catch
Mount
that.
Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore?
Yep, leaves, garbage piled up on the drains so the water can't go down the drain.
I would encourage residents to not put their leaves right in the gutter line
We're not
itself.
talking about people putting them there. We're talking about people out there in the morning in the bathrobe with a broom
Oh,
and a
they're
shovel.
picking 'em
picking
up?
it
Trying to scrape them.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I don't like the job.
I've done that too.
Well, the last rain event, we had somebody all day, that's all they did, was go around and hit every drain about 4 times that day, and then we actually did it again at 9 o'clock at night.
That's good. I'm complaining because I was out there doing it too, and I didn't get paid for it.
I can't do anything about that, but we will do our best to get them cleaned.
I don't get paid. I just would like
Budget
to clean it
restraints.
before I get out
Come
there.
That was a tough one because the leaves had just started falling and the
Yeah.
wind just made it worse. So you could go by and in 15 minutes, the leaves would be covered back over again. That was a real hard one. We did the best we could, but we didn't experience any flooding of any amount. But we'll be on top of that. And that was on Sherman Parkway. That was all I had.
Thanks, Garner.
You bet.
Chief?
Just a couple updates about the new hires. Officer Borden is out and about. Hopefully you've seen him. A lot of positive comments from the business community already making an impact there. So he's full-time and out there. And number 2, our community service officer is on her own and up to full speed ahead. So our code enforcement program, animal control, everything is finally back on track. And so if you have any of those issues, the council or the community, let us know and we'll get on top of those. Other than that, it's business as usual.
Chief, is Officer Borden, has he recovered from his incident?
He has. He missed 1 day of work, was back on Monday, and he's back out on the bike. The wind almost blew him back to Modesto a little bit today, so he got in a car for a while, and then he walked for a while. But he is back. He's recovering. His injuries were minor.
Good.
And he's fine.
Yeah, I've seen him out quite a bit, so he seems like he enjoys what he's doing, so that's great.
He does. He's got a big smile on his face
Yes, he
every
does.
day, and a lot of the business owners, employees have contacted me and are
Yeah.
very, very pleased with his work. So it was a long time due, and
Yeah.
finally nice to have the money to devote somebody to that, and even making some inroads in Pioneer Park. You know, although that problem continues and there may never be a permanent solution to that. Obviously, I mean, if someone had the solution homelessness, we would, get rich off of it. But we're making progress there, and they definitely know that we're watching a little more intently than we were previously. So.
Yeah, that's great.
Just
Thanks.
one quick comment. I saw him downtown. This is when he first started. I think his first day on the job. But the only thing I told him about this, but check it out. Maybe I didn't see it correctly or what. But he was in front of me, and I couldn't really see the police all the way across. I mean, I really couldn't see it. And I was wondering if you could make it bigger, the font bigger or whatever they do. But you guys look at it and see what your thoughts are. But I wanted to make, you couldn't really tell. I didn't see it.
It's a standardized patch that
Is it?
is utilized
Yeah.
by all
Okay.
agencies. It's a common product, and maybe hopefully just maybe the glare, the angle, or
Well,
something like that.
maybe he didn't, because he had a couple things on and maybe that. Because I did see it then at the football game on that Friday
Okay.
night, and it looked bigger, I'll be honest
Ah,
with you.
Okay.
So maybe it's just the way I saw it, but I asked him about it, because I mean, it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, we're always concerned.
Yeah.
We do want it to be immediately recognizable, and
Yeah.
we did put a lot of thought into the uniform. But it's a fairly typical universal bicycle uniform
Yeah.
worn across the country, and clearly identifiable. The bike is identifiable as helmet now. It was a week or two. Hard Drive donated some police insignia for us on the helmet. So some things like we've made a little inroads.
Yeah.
So he should be very identifiable now.
Excellent.
But we'll always monitor.
You're trying to say my eyes aren't that good? Is that what
It's probably the sun. The glare of
I'm
the sun.
kidding you, Chief.
Any other
Any
questions?
questions, of Chief?
Listen,
Wonder.
I can't see it, I can't sweep.
Yeah, great feedback from downtown.
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah,
quite a few.
well, I'm hearing
good
the same
comments.
thing.
Great
It's,
stuff.
Yeah.
it's great, and he's all over the place. I mean, he's not just up and down Main Street. I mean, he's answering calls all over the place. But he finished yesterday. Finally, every single business has his business card, his cell phone number. So it's just a great. I mean, it's what every small town needs. I mean,
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
and it frees up the patrol guys, officers to be out dealing with everything else that's happening in the outer parts and the residential areas, and it's a huge win for us. So
Yes,
just
it
gotta
is.
Excellent.
remember year 4, you got to start writing the checks.
Yeah.
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 Any chance of getting another one?
Probably have to see how the what's going on. 4 years, who knows?
No, that checks out.
Yeah. Any questions of the Chief? Thanks, Chief.
Okay, thanks.
Stephanie, anything? Okay. I'm from council members. Nick?
No, I've
Bob?
I have nothing.
Ted?
Very quickly, if you could, Mike, could you write this down? December 3rd, 6:30,
Use your shorthand.
Council Hall here. We're going to have that task force again. That's the health task force. We're going to have the meeting here. It's so that December 3rd, it's a Wednesday night, 6:30. See if that works, Mike. If it doesn't, let me know, and I'll let them know real quick. And I'd just like to say, Sonia, thank you for some good years served, and we're going to miss you. So.
Roberta?
I don't have anything.
Just a couple things. I, along mostly Stephanie, she's a very good note taker. We attended the California Redevelopment Agency seminar Monday, the 19th, I think it was, in Merced. And it was interesting. I was able to stay for about an hour before I got called out, but there was a lot of information, and I don't remember the gentleman's name who was doing the presentation, Stephanie, but you know that was it?
California Redevelopment.
John Shirey?
Yeah, I think it was. That, you know, that obviously lawsuits were filed the following day to try to stop state from stealing from us, and it was interesting, some of the comments going around the room, and I think that group was in Sacramento. There'd probably be some homicide charges filed, but there's a lot of people really ticked off, and not just in our area. There's people from Tulare, I think as far north, I don't know, maybe Manteca, Tracy area, but there was about 40 people, I think, showed up for that meeting. But it was pretty interesting, and they're working hard and diligently to try to stop the state from stealing funds. So Steve Qualls was there, and of course, as we all know, Steve is pretty vocal. So anyway, so I appreciate Stephanie for being there and taking the notes for all that as well. And just overall, Gardner, thanks for escorting us up to Sacramento and engaging in those meetings. It's nice to have staff members there and to let those people in those high places know that, you know, that this is something that we're committed to as a community, and it's long overdue. So thanks for going and participating on that. So that was great. Let's see. I think that is it. I don't have anything else. So if there's nothing else for the council, we'll adjourn and go to closed session.